The alarm breaks the silence, and in that first breath of consciousness, before your mind starts making deals with itself, before the excuses flood in, before comfort whispers its seductive lies, there's a choice, a single decision that will either set the tone for everything that follows, or surrender it to whatever chaos the day brings. Most men lose the day in that first 5 minutes. They hit snooze, they scroll, they drift, and then they wonder why they feel powerless by noon. But here's what they don't understand. The morning isn't just the start of your day, it's the forging of your character. It's where discipline is either built or abandoned, where strength is either claimed or surrendered, where the man you want to become either shows up or gets buried under the man you've always been. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius would wake before dawn, not because he enjoyed it, but because he understood something most men never learn. The first hour belongs to you, or it belongs to the world. And once the world takes it, you spend the rest of your day reacting, responding, scrambling, surviving, but never truly leading. Not your day, and certainly not yourself. If you want to become unbreakable, it starts here, in the dark, in the quiet, in the moment when everything in you wants to stay comfortable, but something deeper says, not yet. That something? That's your will. And today, we're going to sharpen it. The problem: most men are defeated before breakfast. Let's be honest about what's really happening. You wake up tired because you stayed up too late, scrolling through other people's lives, numbing yourself with content that doesn't matter. You hit snooze because the bed feels safer than the challenge of facing yourself. You check your phone immediately because you're already seeking validation, distraction, something outside yourself to make you feel okay. And by the time you're actually awake, you're already behind, already reactive, already operating from deficit. You didn't set the tone, the world did, and you'll spend the rest of the day trying to catch up, trying to find your center in the middle of chaos, instead of starting from center and moving through chaos untouched. Epictetus said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" And that question should sting, because most men are waiting for the perfect moment, the right mood, the day when they finally feel ready. But that day never comes, because readiness isn't a feeling, it's a practice. And it begins the moment you stop negotiating with yourself about what you know you need to do. Think about the men you admire, the ones who seem calm under pressure, who move with purpose, who command respect without demanding it. They're not lucky, they're trained. And that training doesn't happen in the gym or the boardroom. It happens in the morning, when no one's watching, when there's no audience, no accountability partner, no external motivation. Just you and the decision to become someone you respect. That's where unbreakable men are built. Not in the big moments, but in the quiet ones. Not when it's easy, but when it's dark and cold, and every cell in your body is screaming for 5 more minutes. The foundation: why morning discipline matters. Your morning is your laboratory. It's where you test whether you're serious about who you're becoming or whether you're just talking about it. Because here's the truth: if you can't control your morning, you can't control your life. It's not dramatic, it's factual. The morning is the one part of your day that's entirely yours. No one's emailing you at 5 a.m. No one's demanding your attention. No one's pulling you into their urgency. It's pure, uncontaminated time. And how you use it reveals everything about your relationship with discipline. Do you use it to build yourself? Or do you surrender it to comfort, to distraction, to the path of least resistance? The Stoics practiced what they called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They would visualize challenges before they arrived, Mentally rehearse difficulty so they wouldn't be caught off guard. And the morning is your daily rehearsal. It's where you practice making hard choices when no one's forcing you to, where you build the muscle of discipline in a low-stakes environment. So when high-stakes moments arrive, when pressure builds, when temptation strikes, when everything falls apart, you don't crumble. You've already trained for this. You've already proven to yourself hundreds of times in the quiet hours that you can do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Seneca wrote, "Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life." And each day begins with a choice, to live intentionally or drift unconsciously, to lead yourself or be led by circumstance, to honor the person you said you'd become or betray them before sunrise. Most men are living the same day on repeat. Same snooze button, same rushed morning, same reactive patterns. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But you can't change your life without changing your mornings, because your mornings shape your mindset, and your mindset shapes everything else. The first pillar, win the first battle. Here's what most people don't tell you about discipline. It's not about the big dramatic changes. It's about the first small victory. The alarm goes off, and in that moment, you have two options. You can stay in bed, negotiate with yourself, bargain for a few more minutes. Or you can get up. Immediately, without thinking, without debate, just move. That's the first battle, and if you win it, everything else gets easier. Not because getting up is magical, but because you've set a precedent. You've told your brain, today we're doing what we said we'd do. Today, we're not negotiating with weakness. Today, we're in command. Marcus Aurelius used to ask himself each morning, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work, as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for? He understood that resistance is natural, that your body will always prefer comfort, but your character is built by overriding that preference, by choosing purpose over ease, mission over mood. So here's the practice. When the alarm sounds, count backwards from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move. No thinking, no negotiating, no rationalizing, just immediate action. Because the longer you lie there, the more your mind will build a case for staying. It'll remind you how tired you are, how hard yesterday was, how much you deserve rest. And all of that might be true, but it's irrelevant, because you're not training to do what feels good. You're training to do what makes you unbreakable. And unbreakable men don't need perfect conditions. They move anyway. Carl Jung said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And what you choose starts with whether you get up when you said you would. That choice might seem small, but it's the cornerstone. Because if you can't keep a promise to yourself about something as simple as waking up, how will you keep promises when life gets complicated? How will you stay disciplined when temptation is real? How will you hold your ground when pressure builds? You won't, because you never built the foundation. You never proved to yourself that your word means something, even when no one else is listening. So win the first battle. Get up, move, and feel what it's like to respect yourself before the sun even rises. The second pillar, reclaim your mind before the world invades it. Most men lose themselves the moment they wake up. They reach for their phone, check notifications, scroll through news or social media, and instantly they're living in someone else's reality, someone else's problems, opinions, emergencies. Their first thoughts aren't their own. Their first emotions aren't their own. They've handed their mental state to algorithms and strangers before they've even stood up. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, scattered, reactive. But it's obvious. You can't start the day in other people's heads and expect to stay in your own power. The morning is sacred. It's the only time your mind is quiet enough to hear itself. And if you fill it with noise immediately, you lose that clarity. The Stoics practiced morning reflection. They would sit with their thoughts, review their principles, prepare mentally for the day ahead. They understood that the mind needs to be tuned, like an instrument, before you can expect it to perform. Epictetus taught, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." And embodying philosophy starts with protecting your inner space, with creating a buffer between sleep and chaos, where you can remember who you are, what you value, what you're building. So, here's the practice. No phone for the first hour. No emails, no messages, no news, nothing external. Just you. And in that silence, you do three things. First, you breathe. Not shallow, reactive breaths, but deep, intentional ones. In through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 4, out for 6. Repeat for 5 minutes. This isn't hippie nonsense, it's nervous system regulation. You're telling your body, we're not in survival mode, we're in control. Second, you reflect. Pull out a journal, a notebook, anything, and write down 3 things. 1 thing you're grateful for, 1 thing you're working toward, 1 thing you need to guard against today. This takes 5 minutes, but it anchors you. It reminds you that life isn't just happening to you, you're directing it. Third, you read. Not the news, not social media. Something that elevates you. Stoic philosophy, biography, something that reminds you what humans are capable of. 10 pages, maybe 15, enough to feed your mind something worthy before the world tries to feed it garbage. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And the morning is where you take back your imagination, where you stop letting fear and distraction set the tone and start letting clarity and purpose guide you. This hour, it's non-negotiable. It's the fortress you build around your mind every single day, so that when chaos comes, and it will, you're already grounded, already centered, already unshakable. The third pillar, train your body to trust your will. Discipline isn't just mental. Your body needs to feel it too, because your body keeps score. It remembers every time you said you'd work out and didn't. Every time you said you'd eat clean and caved. Every time you chose comfort over commitment. And that memory? It erodes trust. It makes your promises to yourself feel optional. But when you train your body to obey your will, something shifts. You stop feeling like you're at war with yourself. You start moving as one unified force, mind and body aligned. That's power. That's what makes a man unbreakable. So here's what that looks like in practice. Every morning, you move. Not later, not after work, not when you feel like it. First thing, before breakfast, before anything else, you move. It doesn't have to be an hour-long workout. It can be 20 minutes. Push-ups, pull-ups, a run, a walk, kettlebell swings. Something that makes your body work. Something that creates resistance. Because resistance is where strength lives. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And the habit of moving your body every morning builds more than muscle. It builds discipline that transfers to everything else. Because when you can push through physical discomfort, mental discomfort becomes easier. When you can finish a set even though your muscles are burning. You can finish a project even though you're mentally tired. When you can run when you don't want to, you can have hard conversations when you don't want to. The body teaches the mind, and the mind teaches the spirit. It's all connected, and when you train all three every morning, you become someone who can't be broken, because you've been tested by yourself every single day, not waiting for life to test you, but actively seeking the discomfort that makes you stronger. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be intense. It just has to be consistent. 20 minutes of movement done every morning for a year will transform you more than sporadic 2-hour gym sessions. Because it's not about the workout. It's about the promise you keep. It's about proving to yourself that you're serious. That when you say you're going to do something, it gets done, no matter how you feel. And once your body knows that, once it trusts that your will is in command, everything changes. You walk differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself like someone who doesn't break, because you've tested yourself, and you didn't. The fourth pillar, eat like you respect yourself. Let's talk about what most men ignore. What you put in your body in the morning sets the frequency for your entire day. If you start with sugar, with processed garbage, with whatever's convenient, you're telling your body, we're running on low-grade fuel today, and your body will respond accordingly. You'll crash by 10 a.m. You'll crave more junk by noon. You'll feel sluggish, foggy, reactive. But if you start with real food, protein, healthy fats, something that actually nourishes you, your energy stabilizes, your mind stays clear, your mood stays even. It's not complicated, but it requires discipline, because the easy choice is always there. The donut, the sugary coffee, the quick fix. But easy choices create hard lives, and hard choices create easy lives. Epictetus taught, no great thing is created suddenly. And your health? That's built meal by meal, choice by choice. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be intentional. So here's the standard. Breakfast is non-negotiable, not skipped, not rushed, not whatever you can grab. You sit down, you eat real food, eggs, meat, vegetables, something substantial. And you do it without your phone, without distractions. You eat like it matters, because it does. This isn't just fuel, it's a ritual. It's another promise you keep to yourself. It's another way of saying, I respect this body. I'm not going to abuse it with garbage. I'm going to treat it like the tool it is. And when you treat your body with respect, it responds. Your energy improves. Your focus sharpens. Your mood stabilizes. And all of that compounds. Because the man who eats with discipline doesn't just have better health, he has better self-respect. And self-respect? That's the foundation of everything else. The fifth pillar, the power of the cold. Here's where most men will resist, but it's also where the most growth happens. End your morning with cold water. Not warm, not comfortable, cold. A cold shower, ice bath if you have access, even just splashing cold water on your face. Something that shocks your system awake. And here's why it matters. Cold exposure is voluntary discomfort. You're choosing something uncomfortable, not because you have to, but because you know it makes you stronger. And that choice? It rewires your brain. It teaches you that discomfort isn't the enemy, it's the forge. The Stoics practiced discomfort intentionally. Seneca would sleep on hard beds, wear rough clothing, go without food, not to punish himself, but to prepare himself, to remind himself that comfort is fragile, and that he could survive, even thrive, without it. When you step into cold water, your body screams at you to get out. Your breath quickens, your mind panics. But if you stay, if you breathe through it, if you relax into it, something incredible happens. You realize you're in control. You realize that discomfort is just a sensation. It's not dangerous. It's not unbearable. It's just uncomfortable. And once you know that, once you've proven to yourself that you can stay calm in the cold, life's other discomforts become manageable. Difficult conversations? You've trained for this. Financial pressure? You've trained for this. Criticism, rejection, failure? You've trained for this. Because every morning you've practiced staying composed when every instinct told you to flee. That's real strength. Not theoretical, not talked about, earned. Wim Hof, the modern master of cold exposure, said it simply: the cold is your warm friend. And he's right, because the cold doesn't lie. It doesn't coddle you. It shows you exactly where you're weak, and then it gives you the opportunity to become strong. So here's the practice. At the end of your shower, turn it to cold. Start with 30 seconds if you have to, then build to 2 minutes, then 5. Breathe deeply, stay calm, don't rush out. And when you step out, notice how you feel. Awake, alive, powerful, like you just conquered something. Because you did. You conquered the part of you that runs from discomfort. And that conquest, it sets the tone for everything else. The sixth pillar: prepare your mind for battle. The morning isn't just about what you do, it's about what you think. And most men walk into their day with no mental preparation, no clarity about what matters, no plan for how they'll respond when things go sideways. And so they get overwhelmed. They react instead of respond. They let circumstances control them instead of controlling their response to circumstances. But the Stoics had a practice for this: negative visualization. They would spend a few minutes each morning imagining what could go wrong. Not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself, "Today I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, and antisocial. They are like this because they don't know the difference between good and bad." He wasn't being cynical, he was being realistic. He knew that people would test him, that obstacles would arise. And by visualizing it beforehand, he wasn't caught off guard. He could respond with wisdom instead of reaction. So here's what you do. After you've moved your body, after you've eaten, after you've grounded yourself, sit for 5 minutes and ask, what challenges might I face today? Maybe it's a difficult conversation. Maybe it's a temptation you'll need to resist. Maybe it's frustration with someone you love. Whatever it is, visualize it. See yourself in that moment, and then see yourself responding the way you want to. Calm, grounded, in control. Because when the moment actually arrives, you won't be improvising. You'll be executing a plan you've already rehearsed. Seneca wrote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And what people call resilience, it's just preparation. It's having thought through difficulty before it arrives. So you're not shocked, not overwhelmed, not reactive. You're ready." And that readiness, it makes you unbreakable, because you've already decided who you'll be when things get hard. You're not leaving it up to chance. You're not hoping you'll rise to the occasion. You're training to rise to it every single morning. The seventh pillar, move into the day with intention. By now, it's been an hour, maybe 90 minutes. You've won the first battle by getting up. You've reclaimed your mind before the world invaded it. You've trained your body to trust your will. You've nourished yourself like someone who matters. You've tested yourself in the cold. You've prepared mentally for what's ahead. And now you're ready. But here's the final piece. You need to know what you're moving toward. Because discipline without direction is just motion. You need purpose. You need to know what today is in service of. So before you step into the day, write down your top 3 priorities. Not 10 things, not a massive list. 3 things. The 3 things that, if you complete them, will make today a win. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." And that's the key. You're not trying to fix your entire life this morning. You're just trying to win today. And you win today by being clear about what matters most, and then protecting your energy to make sure those things get done. So you write them down. 1. Priority 1. 2. Priority 2. 3. Priority 3. And everything else? It's secondary. You're not available for every distraction. You're not reactive to every notification. You're focused, because you've decided what matters, and you've protected your morning to ensure you have the clarity and energy to execute. That's what separates the disciplined from the distracted. The disciplined know where they're going. The distracted are just moving. And once you step into your day with this kind of clarity, people feel it. They sense that you're not available to be derailed, that you're on a mission, and they either respect it or get out of the way. That's the power of a disciplined morning. It doesn't just change how you start your day. It changes how you move through life. Integration, the compound effect of morning discipline. Here's what most men don't realize until it's too late. Small, consistent actions create massive transformation. One morning won't change your life, but 1,000 mornings will. Because every morning you win, you're building something. You're stacking evidence that you're someone who keeps promises. You're reinforcing neural pathways that make discipline feel natural instead of forced. You're creating momentum that becomes harder and harder to stop. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And your morning ritual? That's the habit that creates all other habits. Because when you start the day with discipline, discipline stops feeling like an exception. It starts feeling like who you are. Think about it. You got up when you didn't want to. You moved your body when it resisted. You ate with intention when convenience was easier. You embraced discomfort when comfort was available. You prepared mentally when distraction was tempting. And you did all of this before most people even woke up. That's not motivation, that's identity. You're not someone who's trying to be disciplined. You're someone who is disciplined. And that distinction? It changes everything. Because when challenges arise later in the day, you don't have to wonder if you'll rise to meet them. You already know you will. Because you've been rising since dawn. You've been proving it to yourself in 100 small ways. And that confidence? It's earned. Not from affirmations or self-help books, but from action, from evidence, from the compound interest of showing up for yourself every single morning. The dark reality. What happens if you don't? Let's talk about the other path, the one most men are on without realizing it. You hit snooze, you check your phone, you skip the workout, you eat whatever's fast. You react to the day instead of leading it. And nothing catastrophic happens, at least not immediately. That's the trap, because the cost of an undisciplined morning isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It's cumulative. It's the slow erosion of self-respect. Day by day, you're proving to yourself that your word doesn't mean anything, that comfort matters more than commitment, that you're not serious about who you're becoming. And after months, years of this, you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the man staring back. He's tired, reactive, scattered. He talks about goals, but never moves toward them. He's frustrated with his life, but won't change his mornings. He's waiting for something to save him, but nothing's coming, because the cavalry isn't coming. The perfect moment isn't coming. The day you finally feel ready isn't coming. All you have is right now, this morning, this choice. And you can keep drifting, keep hoping things will magically improve. Or you can take back your mornings and build the life you've been talking about. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And most of that waste, it happens in the morning, when you choose comfort over growth, when you surrender the day before it even begins. Don't let that be you. Closing, the man you're becoming. So let's bring it all together. The morning discipline that builds unbreakable men isn't complicated, but it is demanding. It requires you to win the first battle by getting up immediately. Reclaim your mind before the world invades it. Train your body to trust your will. Eat like you respect yourself. Embrace discomfort through cold exposure. Prepare mentally for the challenges ahead. Move with intention toward what matters most. These aren't just habits, they're declarations. Every morning you're declaring, "I am someone who keeps promises to myself. I am someone who doesn't need perfect conditions. I am someone who chooses growth over comfort. I am someone who leads my life instead of reacting to it." And when you declare that every single morning, through action, not words, you become it. Not someday, today. Not when things get easier, in spite of the difficulty. And that's what makes you unbreakable. Not that you never feel doubt, fear, or resistance, but that you move forward anyway. Because you've trained for this, in the dark, in the cold, in the quiet. When no one was watching and no one was applauding, you were building. And what you built? It can't be shaken, because it's not based on conditions. It's based on character. Marcus Aurelius wrote one final piece of wisdom worth remembering. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And that power? It's claimed every morning, in the space between the alarm and your action, in the choice to lead yourself before the world demands your attention, in the decision to become someone you respect before you worry about anyone else's respect. That's where unbreakable men are made, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not when it's convenient, but when it's hard. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off and your mind starts making deals, remember this. You're not just getting up, you're declaring war on the weak version of yourself. You're choosing the path that most men avoid, the path that requires sacrifice but offers freedom, the path that's lonely at first but leads to strength. And you're doing it one morning at a time, because that's how empires are built. One brick, one day, one choice. Stay focused, stay grounded, and remember, the quiet work you do before sunrise is shaping the strength they'll never see coming. Let them sleep. You've got a life to build. The morning is just the beginning. Next, discover how to maintain unshakable focus throughout your entire day. No matter what chaos surrounds you, stay focused, stay grounded,